So by the end of this video, you'll know how to download MiniWhisper, which is basically Wispr Flow, but free, private, open source, faster. The only reason you might not need it is you are not on a Mac, and right now it only supports Mac. But by the end of it, you'll be able to go into Claude Code, tell it to create a really quick file just purely from voice. I'll do the shortcut Option W. Hey Claude, can you create a new MD file called tests number 2 MD and put a placeholder text in there. And then you'll see here that Claude will now be able to do that really quickly, all through voice. And then we'll look in Obsidian really quick, and you'll see in our inbox, you'll see this new MD file. Are you still using Apple Dictation or paying for a monthly subscription to do voice to text? Well, today's video, I'm going to show you how to do that for free on a Mac. And if you're using Wispr Flow, which I was using previously, it costs about $15 a month. You can get it for cheaper if you do the annual subscription, but I was doing the free Flow Basic for about 2,000 words per week initially, and that lasted me maybe an hour or two. And now that the voice to text models are so good, there wasn't really a reason for me to keep paying it. So I just set up my own MiniWhisper app that allows me to do voice to text transcription that's free, local, and it's actually faster and better than Wispr Flow. And so I'll show you how to install this. And so if you go to my site, under downloads, I've actually made a custom software in order to do this all on your device. And it's actually open source too, so you can actually validate if it is truly private and secure. And so what you do is you'll click on download here, and it'll download that app, which will show you in a second how to do that. And in the same way you install any other application, you'll drag this into applications, and then now you'll be able to find that. And so once you do that, you can actually open up the app and you'll confirm that you want to use it from the internet. And here you'll see that this little window pops up. If you have a lot of menu bar apps, you can move it by holding Command, and you can move it into a easier to view location closer to the top right so that other applications don't cover it up. And so then once you do that, you can also give it permissions to access your microphone. On the top right, you can click here, and then if you can't see it, it gives you a description of how to do that. And then I'll exit out of this. But for this video, I'm just going to use Option W to show you how that transcription works. And then let's say that I now talk into this microphone, and you can see that it is recording. And then once you're done, you're going to click on the shortcut again, Option, and then you'll see that it's pasted that in. And so now how we're going to use that is we're going to go into Claude Code. In the previous setup video, I had a shortcut to set that up. And now we can just talk into Claude Code. So I'm going to do that shortcut again, Option W. Hey Claude, can you create a MD file for me that says test and put a placeholder text in there? And then you'll W again, or whatever shortcut you set. And then let's go back into Obsidian, and you'll see that Claude is going to create a placeholder text. And then now you have this placeholder text. And then in this menu bar app here, there's a lot of other configurations that you can set. If you want to use more than English or the default 20 European languages, you can set the model to be multilingual. It will install a new model, and then you can have more than 100 plus languages. You can set up configuration for formatting here. One I use a lot for Claude Code is spoken symbol. And so here I'll show you here. Option W. Hello, give me an example of hyphen for hyphen. And then so then you'll see here, it will do that transcription. But in the same way that we can set up different formatting options, you can drop trailing punctuations. I'll show you one thing here. A common mistake that Claude Code will make in these local transcription models is sometimes they don't say or spell the words exactly how you want it to. And so you can enable replacements to do that. And then I have also included a Claude Code skill that you can enable. And then once you enable that, you can basically either trigger it through this shortcut, MW for MiniWhisper -replace, and then tell it what to add as a replacement. But you can do that manually here in the display. So let's say you wanted to get rid of, so you can add or and then you can just add new replacements as you see fit, and you can preserve the case. And so here I'll show you an example. Claude Code is, and so you'll see here that it didn't set it up correctly. And so I'm going to open up a new tab with Claude Code, and I'll do CC, and then I'll basically Claude. So this skill allows Claude Code to automatically configure your replacements for you. And so as you start using it with Claude Code a lot, you can create new replacements automatically directly in Claude Code. And then in the future, whenever you say Claude Code, it'll automatically make it Claude Code. And another thing that you can do as well is, I'll show you. Actually, let's go back into Chrome, exit the screen. And then let's say I'm going to do Option W, MiniWhisper. And so then I'll have this, and then I'll paste the link for the MiniWhisper link. And so in the same way, it will create that. And then once it creates that, you can now shortcut voice to text to anything that you want. And this can be your personal website, any website that you commonly use, any commands that you commonly use. And so now that that's available, MiniWhisper, and so you'll see it automatically does that. With a lot of these voice to text models, setting up replacements is an easy way to automate your workflow. But in the same way that Wispr Flow, if you use it and you want to mimic some of the functionality that you have with their post-processing of the text that gets spoken, because a lot of these models, there's kind of two phases to that. There's one of which that you'll talk into the product and they'll do the transcription from voice to text, and then they'll also apply a post-processing on that text that was printed. And so you can actually replicate that here if you have Claude Code or Codex CLI. And so here's a feature here in editing, AI editing mode. And you can kind of see what that does. But let's enable both, and we'll walk through what each of those things are. And so for the first one here, once you set that up, you can now set it up to be Claude Code or Codex CLI. I'm just going to use Claude Code. And so here, now that we've set this up, you'll notice that there is a clean up recording. And what this will do is it'll first run the transcription through the local LLM or the voice model. And then once it prints it, it'll apply another cleanup task that gets sent to the same provider that you're using, either Claude Code or Codex CLI. And I'll use the cheapest model so it doesn't hit your rate limits too much. But in the case you're doing very long text and you just want to start recording and be able to speak freely, then you can use this model to automatically clean that up. For example, I'll show you that right now, which is because this is a different shortcut and you can set it to be the whatever shortcut that you want. And here I'm gonna do Option R, and now you can see that I'm recording here, and I want to count to 1, 2, actually, scratch that, 4, 5, 6. And then here, because it's using your Claude Code credentials, it will ask you for your keychain for the first time. And then once it does that, it'll keep using that one. And so you'll see here that the auto cleanup will basically do that post-processing and clean up anything that you say in the actual voice transcription. So you'll see here I had 1, 2, 3, but then I was like, oh no, scratch that. Let's do 4, 5, 6. And so now you can see that it just pasted the 4, 5, 6. I'll do Command-Shift-4, and you'll see that it's recording here. And I'm actually gonna escape it because I'm talking right now, but I'll do the edit in a second. Command-Shift-4, make this uppercase. And then you'll see that because we have the post-processing edit model and we're using Claude Code, it will basically do what you tell it to do. So let me do that again, but let me clean the Command-Shift-4, make this formal. And so then it changed it back to lowercase and made it formal. So that is MiniWhisper. I built MiniWhisper so I didn't have to pay a monthly subscription. And if you're using it for personal use cases, you can just download it and use it. But in the case that you want to use it for work and you need to run that by your IT department, because it's open source, you can just click on the details here and you'll be able to view it on GitHub, and then you'll be able to secure it more easily. And so hopefully that is helpful so that you can now use voice to text anytime you use Claude Code. Want to do, hey Claude, in the Claude MD project file for this repo, at the top of it, can you add a note that a lot of our conversations will come from a speech to text model called Parakeet. And if there are any errors or misunderstandings from what is pasted into Claude Code, to ask if you're confused. For example, it might say Cloud Code instead of Claude Code. And if you're unsure about what to do based off of that, ask me to confirm. Otherwise, make your best effort judgment on what I was trying to say. And so this actually happens quite a bit. And to actually set this out to be my global Claude rule, not just my project Claude rule, so that anytime I'm now coding, 99% of the time, I'm actually just using speech to text. And so you'll see here, by the end of this video, you can set this up really easy so that you can now just code all through voice.